The title of my presentation is Dialogue Analysis, Water Reuse in the MENA region. This is an example of one of my suggestions to solve a qualitative statistical problem. The presentation includes an overview of the science dialogue on water reuse in the MENA region that was held in Dubai in September 2021. The summary of dialogue discussions was done for three groups, Group 1, Group 2, and Group 3, to discuss three issues: technical, economic, and institutional, to define three topics, which are challenges to policies, solutions, and changes to water policies. We used a simple qualitative statistical process that is able to analyze the verbal discussions and produce key messages by using a pivot table and pivot chart in Microsoft Excel. Despite the potential benefits of treated wastewater in meeting water demands in the MENA region, wastewater reuse is still an untapped opportunity. Water reuse is complex and brings both opportunities and risks. Experts in the function were divided in three groups to discuss challenges, policy options, and policy changes. Therefore, we have three groups and three issues and three topics. The topics are challenges, options, and changes, and the three issues are technical, economic, and institutional. This is three photographs showing how the three groups were working. This is Group 1, Group 2, and Group 3. I was presiding over the groups because, as you can see, each group includes different countries and organizations, experts from different disciplines related to reuse of water, with two facilitators and one reporter. And each group is given the same assignment to come up with number of challenges for water use at regional level and to rank them according to importance, also policy options and innovative solutions for more and safe water reuse. The discussions or the output I got from the reporters is a lot of sentences that he summarized, and then I put them in this big table here. Like, for example, for Group 1, they had 6 challenges and 2 policy options and 1 policy change. This policy option is related to the first challenge here, and this one policy change is also related to challenge number 1 in Group 1. The same thing is repeated for the 3 groups, and the purpose of the exercise is try to make sense out of this 3 discussions by the 3 groups to come up with key messages. I summarized what was in the previous slide using, for example, I highlighted for institutional issue. For Group 2, they had 4 challenges and 2 policy options for the first challenge and 2 policy options for the second challenge, 1 policy change for the first challenge and 1 policy change for the second challenge, and you can follow this from the table here. Then I converted the dialogue into a database for pivot table, and I used keywords, or I call them here titles, extracted from dialogue to make a code for the sentences. The detailed report for the three groups were put into a database, and short titles of issues is used to compile the response of group participants into 5 categories. As you can see here, technical, economic, and institutional challenges, in addition to policy options and policy changes. This is the database, and title here means the suggested keywords. There is one column for group number, one column for the subjects of the challenges, one column for the keyword, one column for either a challenge or option or change, and the issues: technical, economic, and institutional. This part summarizes part of the discussion on options 1 and 2. The pivot table used to analyze data. If we enter the database into Excel and go insert pivot table, he recognizes the size of the pivot table and gives me options to put the titles of the columns or the field names into 4 windows here. One for filters, one for legend or series, one for axis, and one for values. To explain this more, these are the 4 windows, and I have chosen the challenge to put challenges in filters, and to put values to count the challenges, and to put the title or the keyword in the row, and to put the group in the column. By doing that, I get this output here, and I can convert the table into a graph. Here is the table extracted from the previous exercise that counts. For example, accountability is mentioned 2 times in group 2. And the same thing goes for example here, awareness is mentioned once in group 2, once in group 1, and once in group 3. Then I extracted from the database certain reports for the different types of challenges, technical challenges, and the graph shows that, for example, treatment planning is mentioned by group 1 and mentioned by group 3. But transmission lines is mentioned by the 3 groups, 1, 2, and 3. The same thing happens for the economic challenges, where we have, for example, the transmission lines were mentioned 1 time by group 2. The same thing goes for institutional challenges. For example, political will is mentioned once for each of the group 1, group 2, and group 3. Therefore, the total count is 3. The same process is developed for similar graphs for options and challenges. This is the policy options per group. The same description that is on the right side of the slide shows how policy options are discussed within the 3 groups. Again, awareness is an important issue, therefore it was mentioned by the 3 groups. The same thing goes for policy changes. This is options and this is changes. And the summary of the key messages, which is the outcome of this analysis, is for challenges. They are secure low-cost technologies for wastewater treatment, lack of local standards, public acceptance and awareness, review and update of existing guidelines, allocation of land through government mechanisms, technical data availability and data bank development. For options, adapt to fit to purpose technologies, adopt a cost recovery plan with research and development, inclusive targeted awareness campaign using media or school curricula, review existing, update, issue standards and guidelines, build trust through the early involvement of the end users, and encourage public-private partnership PPP. For changes, policy changes, allocate budget for research and development, put in place a fit to purpose cost recovery plan, develop a mass media campaign, review existing and update, issue standards and guidelines, conduct regional workshops to facilitate the exchange of ideas, and lastly, define clearly the responsibility of each institution. My concluding remarks are: this presentation shows how to use simple qualitative statistics to analyze the dialogue between water experts about water reuse in the MENA region. Participants were divided in 3 groups to discuss 3 topics considering 3 selected issues. The verbal discussions were transformed into a database using keywords to analyze the dialogue and produce key messages controlling water policies in the MENA region.